So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a weird path with remote control, the latest in my Night Gallery podcast. But we're going to talk about the heavy Canadian influence on the opening salvo of the second season, the boy who predicted earthquakes. Now, a lot of Americans probably don't know the story, and I'm going to inform you because I think a lot of Americans don't know the impact that Night Galleries had us in Canada, because I think overall it was much more popular, it's much more influential than a lot of Yankees give us credit for. Now, for those who saw the TV version of Boy Who Predicted Earthquakes, it came as no surprise to us because nearly 20 years before, the short story version of The Boy Who Predicted Earthquakes, which was written by American creator Margaret St. Clair, was actually first published in our prestigious news and anthology magazine called Maclean's. Now, Maclean's has been one of the greatest magazines in Canadian history, still being published today, even though it's more of a right wing kind of magazine. But it always was a big supporter of the arts in one form or another, either in presenting short stories or reviews and such and such. Now, just like the TV version, which Rod adapted for the screen, the main person in the movie is a young boy called Herbert Bittman. Now, in the short story, he's 15 years of age, but in the TV version, he's more like 10, 11, 12 age group. Now, just like in the TV adaptation, Herbie has a fascination with all things kind of preteen, especially astronomy, but he considered himself a normal child. But for some reason, seen or unseen, we don't know if he's a mutant or a very special child. He begins to develop psychic skills in the area of precognition. Now, armed with this ability, producers have decided to put together a reality TV show is which Herbie is photographed speaking directly to the camera and making predictions about random events such as earthquakes that Herbie feels will start in the near future. When these predictions start to come true, Herbie and the show become very widely successful. Now, despite this acclaim, Herbie refused to allow himself to photograph or broadcast without giving any reason. He basically feels that there's something going to be happening the next day where it's going to unite the world and cause the planet to become as one. But there's a very major shift in the plot and a major shift in Herbie's outlook, and that's talked about a little bit in the story, and it talked about a little bit in the lead up to the denouement. Now, the episode itself, Clint Howard, Ron Howard's younger brother, he was getting some science fiction acclaim at the time because he appeared on Star Trek as an alien with kind of a jovial way about him in the Corbomite maneuver, and it was that performance I think led him to NBC casting him for this role. Now, The Boy Who Predicted Earthquakes is a very chilling episode. I think it really stood out because the 1950 print version was kind of had a heavy impact because of the Cold War that was going on, and in the TV version, it was a kind of the last vestiges of the Cold War, and it still had that impact. It now when it was originally published in 1950, a lot of Canadian universities and high schools kind of studied the short story, thinking it was a Canadian author that did it. I know in my Canadian literature class in our group at Dalhousie Regional High School, it did come up in conversations as a possibility of a review or something to study in classwork. But several teachers through the years said basically, just because it was published in Canada doesn't really be considered a piece of Canadian prose or poetry or something we can look at. But even I knew about the impact of the episode because when the Clint Howard version came out, it was probably the most talked about of the Night Gallery episodes before the infamous caterpillar episode came up. Because when something crawls across someone's brain, it's more more of a weird way for revenge against a bad person than obviously watching a young preteen predict the future, and maybe the future is not going to occur as everybody expects it. Now, the boy who predicted earthquakes probably is the closest we get to the Twilight Zone original version, because it involves three major Rod Serling influences: the impact of young children in a positivity, the impact of mass media in getting the word across, and the fact is that most humans, unless they take the right path, will end up being either destroying themselves or not knowing when they're going to be destroyed. Now, the teleplay was directed in the TV show by John Badham, and the only thing people had trouble with is because it could only be shown once. Once you've seen the episode, it kind of, the punchline, or like the what they call the drama line, is sort of given, and it rarely is not remembered. It's probably one of the most memorable Night Gallery episodes because, again, Clint Howard, again, Ron Howard were very popular at the time, still are. Clint is still a very good actor, even though he's never had the directing or acting recognition. He's just as good as his brother, in my opinion. Clint can play many roles. And, the cast, even Bernie Capel is in this episode, and Bernie's not known for his dramatic presentations, because he's mostly as a comedy actor, Love Boat. But all parts of the episode work well, and it's kind of funny. It kind of, not say predicted the later reality show aspect of news and everything else, but if you look at the 1976 movie network, I think the directors and the writers of this movie might have saw the boy who predicted earthquakes and kind of, put a little bit of that episode into the, not say the Beale character, but when it talked about the different people are augmenting the Beale show, when Howard would go on a rant and rave and stuff like that. Now, if you have a chance, the episode is available for free on various streaming services, on various TV streaming services. If you're going to watch season 2 as a starting point, obvious reasons. There's a reason why I started off season 2, because Jack Laird and Rod wanted the season 2 to expand on the popularity of the shortened season 1 in the pilot, and this was basically as good as Night Gallery got in the second season. It was extremely effective, extremely dramatic, extremely chilling, and it just basically something that stands out. If you were a 9 or 10-year-old child, like many of we were in the early 1970s, and you watched this, I mean, you became either a pacifist or someone who was scared to go to bed at night, and probably every time you heard something on the news, you freak out saying, that just like that kid predicted. If you know I don't want to give away the final scenes of the movie, but you see where it's coming from. I know the show made a lot of pacifists in my family, because maybe if you think things are not going to happen, they do happen. Maybe there's going to be a person down the road who will be able to predict like Herbie. Maybe it's going to be next week or the week after. Anyway, hope this finds you well, and thanks to all my Night Gallery group supporters. Going to try to do 2 or 3 more of this, because you seem to respond to it well, because it gives you guys a Canadian perspective on Night Gallery maybe you never heard before. Maybe you don't agree with everything I'm saying, but who cares, because Canadians don't really listen to Americans anyway. We never have and probably never will. I might be joking, or I might not be joking. You'll have to study that. If you saw The Simpsons last night, we see what you guys think of us. Maybe you should be told what we really think about you guys. Like I said in one of my posts, Australia is paying us $5 a day to be friends with you. Maybe. Or they might be. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a Night Gallery episode where it's revised. How Canada is being fake with the States. Maybe we're aliens. Ooh. Anyway, have a good day. Bye.